Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. I'm Hashim Ali Khan. I'm giving the lectures on the subject Managerial Accounting. In this subject, the topic right now is decision making. Already I have uploaded the video on the theory of decision making. So hope my regular viewers have already watched that video. So before starting the problem, you must be acquainted, you must be conceptually clear regarding what is the topic of this problem, decision making. So if you have not watched the theory, I suggest you to go to the playlist of my channel, select the subject Managerial Accounting. In that subject, you select the topic decision making, watch the video, then you come to the problems. Then only you can be able to understand the problems. Otherwise, it will be very difficult what is going on. So without understanding the concept, you should not come to the problem. Now, those viewers who are first time on my channel, I suggest you to go to the playlist of my channel. I have uploaded so many videos on different subjects like financial accounting, advanced accounting, cost accounting, corporate accounting, income tax, business statistics, financial management, investment management. So many videos I have uploaded on different subjects, on different topics. Select your subject, select the topic, watch the video and enhance your knowledge. Have more confidence on the subject. Remember, just passing the examination should not be your criteria. What I expect from students are genuinely craving to get the knowledge. Getting the knowledge is a long-term perspective than simply passing the examination. What will happen if you get the degree? That is not the end of the matter. The matter is how much knowledge you are having, how much command you are having. That will give you a position in the world. So from that perspective, from acquiring the knowledge, watch the video. Don't just to pass the examination. Anyway, we can pass. Anybody can pass just simply by browsing the subject, browsing the pages of the model papers, all these things. They can be able to pass the examination. But what we can do by having just a degree, you must have the confidence. So I'm putting a lot of effort in explaining all the concepts, all these things. Hope you understand me. Now, I'm going to start the problems on decision making, but before starting the problem, I expect my viewers to have this printout of the problems which I have given in the link under my description. So before start watching the problems, go to the link under the description, select the link and take a printout of all the problems and keep it ready before watching the problems. Now I am reading out the first problem. Following information relates to Coromandel Company Limited, which produces washing machines. Cost per unit 50 rupees, material 50 rupees, labor 25, direct expenses 15, fixed expenses 10 rupees, profit 20, selling price 120. The production capacity of the factory is 10,000 units. At present, a supplier has offered to sell the same item for rupees 95. Should the company produce the item or buy it from the supplier? Give reasons. See, the topic of this is decision making. In this type of problems, we don't have a straightforward problem just like calculate the PV ratio, calculate the BEP, MOS, like the previous chapter. Previous chapter we have done marginal costing techniques. In that, straightforward problems, only calculating. But in this chapter, decision making, we don't have a straightforward problem, we have a decision making problem. In this case, the students should write the decision, explain the decision by applying marginal costing technique. Here in this first problem, it is called make or buy decision. A company manufacturing washing machines. So in this washing machines, a component is used. Now, if we make the component which is used in making the washing machine, the cost of the component is given: material, labor, direct expense, fixed expense, all the expenses incurred in making that component is given. And the same component is available in the market. The supplier agrees to supply that component at rupees 95. At rupees 95, yes. This component we can make or we can buy it from the outside supplier. The outside supplier is charging 95 rupees per unit. Now the problem is we have to take the decision whether we should make the component in the company itself or should we buy it from the outside supplier. That is the problem. That is the problem. It is make or buy decision problem. In this problem, the first thing you have to remember is, whenever we have to take a decision on make or buy, we should compare the variable cost per unit with the supplier's price. We should not take the total cost to produce one unit. Cost consists of two types: variable cost, fixed cost. What is the nature of variable cost? Variable cost proportionately change with output. As the output increases, variable cost will also increase. As the output decreases, variable cost will also decrease. If there is no output, no variable cost. This is the nature of variable cost. But fixed cost will remain same. Whether we make 0 unit or whether we make 1000 units, any number of units, the fixed cost will remain constant. It's a period cost. It's not a product cost. So while taking this make or buy decision, we should compare the variable cost with the supplier price. Fixed cost should be ignored, should not be considered, because fixed cost has to be incurred whether we make the component or we buy it from outside supplier. So we need what is the variable cost. See the solution here. Make or buy decision. To take a decision on whether to make a component or buy it from outside supplier, we should compare the variable cost with the supplier price. This point you have to remember. Variable cost with the supplier price. If the variable cost is less than supplier price, make it. So how to take the decision? Compare the variable cost with the supplier price. If the variable cost is less than the supplier price, make it. If the supplier's price is less than variable cost, buy it from supplier. If the supplier price is less than the variable cost, buy it from the supplier. This is the criteria of taking a decision on make or buy. The fixed cost will be ignored in such decisions, since the fixed cost will be incurred whether we make it or buy it from the supplier. This is the first problem. That's why I have written all the explanation of the solution. In the coming problem, there is no need, because already you got the point. In the coming problem, directly we'll solve it. But first problem, I have given a complete explanation. In examination also, if it is asked, you should write all these things. Then variable cost per unit. See the problem, it is given in the problem: material 50 rupees per unit, labor 25 rupees, direct expenses 15 rupees. I have not taken the fixed cost. I have taken only the variable cost. The variable cost per unit 90 rupees. Supplier price per unit 95 rupees. Now compare the variable cost and supplier price. The variable cost is less. Since the variable cost is less than supplier price, it is suggested to the company to make the component. Don't buy it from outside supplier. The component should be produced since the variable cost per unit is less than the supplier price. That's all. This is the very first problem on decision making. Now, see the second problem. An automobile manufacturing company finds that while the cost of making in its own workshop part number 0028 is rupees 6 each, so to make one component, one unit of the component, the cost incurred is 6 rupees. The same is available in the market at rupees 5.60 with an assurance of continuous supply. While we make the component, the cost is 6 rupees. The same is available in the market. The supplier is agreed to supply at 5 rupees 60 paisa. So comparatively 5 rupees 60 paisa is less. So we should buy it from supplier. No, your decision is wrong. Because you are comparing 5 rupees 60 paisa with 6 rupees. 6 rupees is the total cost per unit. We should not compare total cost with supplier price. We should compare variable cost with supplier price. So we want to know the breakup of the 6 rupees cost. It is given the cost to make one unit is 6 rupees. We need the breakup of 6 rupees. What are there in that 6 rupees? How much is the variable cost? How much is the fixed cost? We have to segregate it. Then only we can be able to take the decision. Now, write a report to the managing director giving your views whether to make or buy this part. You have to give the suggestion whether to make it or buy it. Give also your views in case the supplier reduce the price from 5 rupees 60 paisa to 4 rupees 60 paisa. So, two questions are there. First of all, supplier supplies the component at 5 rupees 60 paisa, give the decision. After that, suppose if the supplier has reduced the price from 5 rupees 60 paisa to 4 rupees 60 paisa, then what would be your decision? The cost data is as follows. Material 2 rupees, direct labor 2.5, other variable overheads 0.5, and depreciation and other fixed cost 1 rupee. Remember, this depreciation depreciation and other fixed costs should not be considered. Should not be considered. See the solution. Make or buy decision, cost per unit. Material 2 rupees, direct labor 2.5, other variable overhead 0.5. So variable cost per unit 5 rupees. Supplier price per unit is 5 rupees 60 paisa. 5 rupees 60 paisa. Variable cost 5 rupees. We have not considered the fixed depreciation and other fixed costs we have not taken. Now supplier price is 5 rupees 60 paisa. Since the variable cost per unit is less than supplier price, so it is suggested to make the component. Variable cost is less than the supplier price. We give the suggestion to make the component. Don't buy it from outside supplier. It is costly. 5 rupees 60 paisa is more. So it is better to make the component because making cost is only 5 rupees. First part completed. Now second part. If the supplier reduced the price from 5 rupees 60 paisa to 4 rupees 60 paisa, then what would be the decision? If the supplier reduces its price from 4 rupees 60 paisa to 4 rupees 60 paisa, then it is suggested to buy it from the supplier as supplier price is less. So if the supplier has reduced the price to 4 rupees 60 paisa, it is less. It is less than the cost of production, variable cost. अगर सप्लायर प्राइस 4 रुपीज 60 पैसा कर दिया तो सप्लायर का प्राइस कम हो गया. किससे कम हो गया? वेरिएबल कॉस्ट. In that case, we suggest the company to buy it from the supplier because it is less. In this type of decision, the fixed cost will be ignored as it has to be incurred whether the component is produced or bought it from outside. This point you have to always remember. The fixed cost normally will be ignored because it's a sunk cost. It's a cost that has to be incurred whether we make it or buy it from outside supplier. Second problem completed. Now I am reading out the third problem. Auto Parts Limited has an annual production of 90,000 units of a motor component. A part is there. So annual production 90,000 units. The component's cost structure per unit is given below. Material 270 rupees, labor 180 rupees, 25% fixed. So labor 180 rupees. In that 180 rupees, 25% is fixed, 75% is variable. So we segregate how much fixed labor and how much variable labor. Then variable expense are 90 rupees, fixed expense are 135. Total cost is 675. Now, the purchase manager has an offer from a supplier who is supplying to supply the component at rupees 540. Should the component be purchased? See here. We are producing the component at 675. 675 is the total cost to produce one unit. Whereas the supplier is agreeing to supply at 540 rupees. Now the question is whether we should make it or buy it. Don't compare 675 with 540. Because 675 is the total cost which includes variable as well as fixed. But for taking a make or buy decision, we should compare the variable cost. So first we segregate. How much is the variable cost in that 675? We find out. Then second question, second part of the problem. Assuming that the resources now used for the purpose of components manufacture can be used to produce a new product for which the selling price is 485. Is it advisable to divert the resources to producing the new product? If it used material rupees 200 per unit and has the same cost for labor and expenses. Second question says, if the resources which are used for making the component can be diverted and used those resources to make a new product. That means the component will buy it from outside. We can purchase the component from outside supplier even if it is costlier, because the alternative is we can use the resources to make a new product. By making a new product, the selling price comes to 485 rupees. The new product can be sold at rupees 485. and the variable cost on this new product is labor 200 rupees, and labor and variable expenses are remaining same. This is the second part. The second part will attempt afterwards. First will attempt the first part, make or buy decision. Make or buy decision. Variable cost. Material is given 270 rupees per unit. Material cost 270 rupees given in the first line. Then labor 135. How 135? The total labor cost 180, in which 25% is fixed, but we don't require fixed, we want only variable. So 75% is variable. So 75% of 180 comes to 135. Variable expense are 90. So 495 is the variable cost. 495 is the variable cost. We need only variable cost. We don't require total cost. So variable cost 495. Supplier price is 540. The supplier is supplying the component at 540. So what we should do? We should make it, because variable cost is less. Variable cost is less. Supplier price is more. So since the variable cost per unit is less than the supplier price, it is suggested to make the component. It should not be bought from the supplier. First part completed. What will happen if we buy it from supplier? We will incur a loss of rupees 45 per unit. How 45? By purchasing, we have to pay 540. For making 495. So 540 minus 495, you will get 45 rupees. So if we buy the component from outside supplier, we will have an opportunity cost of rupees 45. 45 rupees loss we will incur by buying the component from outside. Now we have to attempt the second question. The resources which are used in making the component can be diverted in making a new product. यानी जो मटेरियल लेबर एक्सपेंसेस लग रहे थे, वो मटेरियल लेबर एक्सपेंसेस से नया प्रोडक्ट बनाएंगे. We'll make a new product, and the selling price of the new product is, here it is given. If existing facilities can be used to manufacture a new product, contribution from new product, variable cost per unit material 200 rupees. Last line it is given. If we make a new product, the material cost is rupees 200, and the labor and expenses per unit will remain same. How much is the labor and expenses? 135 and 90. So 135, 90 I have taken separately. Now total variable cost is 425. The new product, the variable cost of the new product is 425. What is the selling price of the new product? Selling price per unit of the new product is 485. We can sell the new product at 485, and the variable cost of the new product is 425. So how much is the contribution per unit? Contribution means S minus V. Selling price minus variable cost, SP minus VC. So selling price is 485. Variable cost is 425. So 485 minus 425, 60 rupees contribution. So per unit we are getting a contribution profit of 60 rupees from the new product. From the new product we are getting 60 rupees. And how much loss we are incurring by purchasing the component from outside supplier? 45 rupees. That means we are losing 45 rupees and we are gaining 60 rupees. That means the contribution from the new product 60 rupees is more than the loss we are incurring by purchasing the component. We are purchasing the component from outside supplier, we are incurring a loss of 45, whereas gaining 60. So 60 minus 45, 15 rupees per unit we are getting a net gain if we make the new product. So ultimate answer, it is suggested to divert the resources and make a new product. And the component should be purchased from the outside supplier. In this case, we will get a net gain of 15 rupees. How 15? 60 rupees is the contribution from the new product, and 45 rupees we are losing by purchasing the component from the outside supplier. So since the contribution per unit from new product rupees 60 is more than the opportunity cost of not producing the component 45, hence it is advised to produce the new product by using the resources and purchase the component from the outside supplier. That's all. So these are the first 3 problems we have completed on decision making. Now we'll start the next problem. Problem number 4. See the fourth problem carefully. The managing director of your company seeks your advice in arriving at a decision whether to continue manufacturing a component or buy it from outside. Again, it is a problem of make or buy decision. The component is used in several of the company's products. The following information is available. The annual requirement is 40,000 units and the lowest price quotation from a supplier is rupees 27.50 per unit. So whenever we have to take a decision on make or buy, we compare the variable cost with the supplier price, assuming that fixed cost will remain constant whether we make it or buy it. So we ignore the fixed cost, we compare the variable cost with the supplier price. The supplier price is 27.50 per unit. How many units? 40,000 units. The cost incurred last year. So last year the cost incurred for 40,000 components were as follows. Material 12 lakh, labor direct 15 lakh, indirect labor 4 lakh, light and heat 80,000, power 1 lakh 20,000. Depreciation 7 lakh, property taxes and insurance 70,000, miscellaneous expenses 1 lakh 50,000. These are the expenditure incurred last year for making 40,000 units. Now, the following proportion of variable cost could be avoided if production of the component is discontinued. Material 35%, direct labor 40% and power 25%. Now this is very important. This point is very important. Remember, the following proportion of variable cost could be avoided. So some costs are avoided, some are unavoided. The unavoidable cost is the fixed cost and avoidable cost is the variable cost. It is given that if the product is discontinued, if the making of the component is discontinued, these are the costs which are avoidable. Which are the costs avoidable? Material 35% is avoidable and direct labor 40% avoidable, power 25% avoidable. Remaining expenditure are unavoidable. Meaning of unavoidable, it is fixed. Whether we make it or buy it from outside, the other expenditure are remaining same. So we consider only avoidable cost or variable cost. So we take only three. Which are the three? Material we take 35%, labor we take 40% and power we take 25%. These are the only costs which are avoidable, right? Next point, if the component is purchased from an outside supplier, average freight cost will be 50 paisa per unit. So apart from the purchase price from the supplier, we have to incur some freight cost. How much freight cost? 50 paisa per unit. How many units we are buying? 40,000 units we are buying. So 40,000 into 50, 0.50. You will get 20,000 rupees freight charges we have to pay if we purchase it from the outside supplier. Similarly, also indirect labor would increase by 30,000 on account of receiving, handling and inspecting the purchased parts. So apart from that freight charges, we have to incur 30,000 rupees indirect labor on receiving the material, inspecting the material and handling the material. The handling, receiving, inspecting charges are 30,000. This 30,000 will be incurred when we purchase the material from the outside supplier. Advise the management. That's it. Now see carefully. Material, variable cost, avoidable cost. The material 35% of 12 lakh. Last year total material incurred 12 lakh, out of which 35% is avoidable. Right? So 35% of 12 lakh, 4 lakh 20,000. Direct labor 40% of 15 lakh, 6 lakh. Power 25% of 1 lakh 20,000, 30,000. So variable cost or avoidable cost is 10 lakh 50,000. So this 10 lakh 50,000 is avoidable if we purchase it from outside supplier. If we make it, we have to incur 10 lakh 50,000. If we do not make it, if we purchase from outside supplier, no need to incur this 1 lakh 50,000. Right? So this 1 lakh 50,000 is the avoidable cost or variable cost. The other costs given in the problem are unavoidable cost. Unavoidable means fixed cost which will be there whether we make it or buy it. So we ignore that cost. Now bought out cost. If we purchase it from outside supplier, what is the bought out cost? Purchase price 40,000 units we are buying and the supplier price is 27.50. So multiply, you'll get 11 lakh rupees is the purchase cost. Apart from purchase cost, freight charges we have to pay 50 paisa, 0.50 per unit. For how many units? 40,000. So 40,000 into 0.5, 20,000 rupees freight charges. Apart from that, indirect labor for receiving, inspecting, handling charges, all that comes to 30,000. So total bought out price is 11,50,000. So if we purchase 40,000 units from the supplier, then total bought out cost will be 11,50,000. Whereas if we make the component within our organization, we will incur a cost of rupees 10,50,000. Now compare this 10,50,000 with 11,50,000, whichever is less. So here variable cost is less. When variable cost is less, we suggest the company to make the component. Don't buy it from outside supplier. It is costly. It is costly to purchase it from outside supplier. Don't purchase it. Make it. So ultimate, it is suggested to make the product since the variable cost is less than the bought out cost. That's it. This is the end of problem number 4. Now see the problem number 5. The cost of manufacturing 8,000 units of X product is given below. Direct material 8,000, direct labor 64,000, variable overhead 32,000, fixed overhead 40,000. So normally when we take a decision on make or buy, we should not consider fixed cost. But here it is given fixed overhead is inclusive of 24,000 that continues regardless of the decision. That means out of the total fixed overhead of 40,000, 24,000 are completely fixed. That means irrelevant whether the decision is to make or buy, this 24,000 will be incurred. So we ignore this 20,000 or 24,000. So out of 40,000, 24,000 are genuinely fixed. Genuinely fixed means this 24,000 will be incurred whether we take the decision of buying or making. Whether we make or buy, this 24,000 compulsorily we are going to incur. So ignore this 24,000. So out of 40,000, ignore 24,000. So 40,000 minus 24,000, 16,000. That 16,000 we have to incur if we make the product. If we make the product, 16,000 fixed overhead we have to incur. That is a new point in this problem. The same product is available in the market at 16 rupees per unit. This is the supplier price, 16 rupees per unit. Should the company make or buy the product? Exactly same. Make or buy. Variable cost. So direct material 8,000, direct labor 64,000, variable overhead 32,000. Now fixed overhead. The 24,000 rupees fixed overhead should be ignored. Remaining fixed overhead should be taken. So total fixed overhead 40,000. Out of 40,000, 24,000 are unavoidable. We cannot avoid it. So avoidable kitna hai? 16,000. 40,000 minus 24,000 is 16,000. 16,000 is the avoidable fixed overhead. So add up, the total variable cost comes to 1,20,000. Whereas total purchase cost from the supplier. If we buy it from the supplier, 8,000 units into rupees 16 per unit 16 rupees. So total comes to 1,28,000. So supplier's cost is 1,28,000, whereas variable cost if we make it within the organization, it comes to 1,20,000. So variable cost is less than the supplier cost. So we suggest to the company to make it. So since the variable cost 1,20,000 is less than the purchase cost from the supplier of 1,28,000, it is suggested to make the product. Should not be bought from the supplier. Should not be bought from the supplier. That's all. So fifth problem we have completed. Now I am reading out the sixth problem. A radio manufacturing company finds that while it costs 6.25 rupees 6.25 each to make component X. The same is available in the market at rupee 5.57 each with an assurance of continued supply. See here, the supplier price is 5.57, whereas the cost of making the component is 6.25. But you should not compare 6.25 with 5.57 because 6.25 is the average cost, which include both fixed and variable. But whenever we take the decision on make or buy, we should not take the total cost. We should take only the variable cost. Fixed cost should not be taken. So we need the breakup of 6.25. That 6.25 consists of variable and fixed. We find out. So here it is given. The breakdown of cost is as follows. Material 2.75, labor 1.75, other variable cost 0.5, and depreciation and other fixed cost 1.25. The total is 6.25. So out of that 6.25, 1.25 is the fixed cost, depreciation and fixed cost. That we should not consider. So out of 6.25, remove 1.25. The remaining amount is 5 rupees. The variable cost is 5 rupees. Whereas supplier price is 5.57. Variable cost is less. So we suggest to make the component. So should the company make or buy? First question. Second question, what would be your decision if the supplier offered the component at 4.85 each? The two questions are there. The first question, if the supplier price is 5.57. In that case, we suggest the company to make it because variable cost is only 5 rupees. So we make it. Whereas in second case, the supplier price has brought down the price to 4.86. In that case, we buy it from the supplier. Since the supplier price is less than the variable cost. Now see here, make or buy decision, variable cost per unit. Material 2.75, labor 1.75, other variable cost 0.5. The variable cost per unit, it comes to 5 rupees. Whereas supplier price per unit is 5.57. The variable cost is less than the supplier price. So it is suggested to make the component since the variable cost per unit 5 rupees is less than the supplier price. A point completed. Now B point. If the supplier has reduced its price to 4.86, in that case, we suggest the company to buy it from the supplier. If the supplier offered the component at 4.85, then it is suggested to buy the component from the supplier since the supplier price is less than the variable cost. That's it. So totally 6 problems we have completed on decision making. I have explained to the best of my ability. Hope you understood all the points regarding decision making. So if you are satisfied with my lecture, give a like to the video. Share it in your group, in your friend circle so that more students can be able to watch these videos. Give your comments on these lectures. And don't forget to subscribe my channel if you have not yet subscribed. I'll do the next problem in the next video.